Hello, my name is Sierra Barnhart. I am currently a senior at Bloomsburg University, majoring in exercise science. For my contemporary issues in world politics class, I decided to talk about the Partia Karkaran Kurdistan, or the PKK, which translated into English is the Kurdistan Workers' Party. Terrorism, unfortunately, is a prevalent issue, so I wanted to take a somewhat of a different approach and talk about a group that isn't focused on as much as others and can be seen as both a terroristic group as well as a non-terroristic group. First, it's very important to gain an understanding of who the Kurdistan Workers' Party are and why exactly they came to be. Throughout the course of time, this group in particular has cycled through a number of different names and still to this day are referred to by various names, but they were originally known as Apakilar. The Kurdistan Workers' Party was formed in Turkey in the year 1974. The platform for this group was based off of the teachings of Karl Marx as well as Vladimir Lenin, which stems from communism. The individuals that formed this organization were oppressed and wanted a communist revolution. In the late 70s, a few Kurdish groups splintered away from what eventually became the PKK, and later in the 80s, different communist as well as social groups came together as well. Starting in the 1980s, a series of different urban and rural wars broke out in Turkey. The Turkish government would attack the Kurdistan Workers' Party, which was then followed by retaliation from the Kurdistan Workers' Party, and this cycle of continuous warfare ended sometime around the late 1990s. Even though the Turkish government, more often than not, won against the PKK, they were never truly defeated because of the PKK's strongholds in Iraq and Syria. Kurdish infighting then occurred throughout the 1990s, which stretched the Kurdish forces very thin, and to this day, Turkey still tries to continue and destroy the PKK. In terms of the PKK's objectives and what exactly they aim to do has changed over time. This is mostly due to the evolution that has occurred in Turkey's political environment. Autonomy was desired for the Kurds in Turkey, which is a region that is self-governing. This organization also wanted to maintain Kurdish ethnic identity and remove non-Kurdish political powers from their region. Kurdistan is not its own country, it's rather a region that spans across 4 different countries, those being Turkey, Syria, Iraq, and Iran. Regions specifically in Iraq, where the population is predominantly Kurdish, are able to self-govern. These regions, however, are not as conservative as others, such as those that are primarily Sunni and Shia. Abdullah Öcalan is the founder and leader of the Kurdistan Workers' Party. He is most often referred to as Apo by his followers, which is Kurdish for uncle. He was born in Kurdish Turkey in 1948. He studied political science at Ankara University, where he was inspired by Marxist teachings. He was a firm believer in the idea that the Kurds were deserving of their own state. He, however, was arrested and imprisoned in Turkey in 1999 for treason. He was set to be executed, but the plan did not follow through. He was the single prisoner at the İmralı Island prison, which is outside of Istanbul. Even being behind bars, he often communicated with his lawyer, who then gave orders to the organization. Turkey, even being aware that this was happening, allowed it so that the PKK wouldn't split off into multiple smaller groups, as there would be even more chaos. Even though Abdullah Öcalan still led the PKK, the organization needed a leader that was physically present, so Murat Karayilan led the group while Öcalan was imprisoned until 2014. In 2014, Karayilan became the primary leader of the People's Defense Forces, which was the PKK's military unit. There are approximately 7,000 members of the Kurdistan Workers' Party. The majority are primarily located in northern Iraq and southeastern Turkey. There is a support base in Germany as well. The PKK strongly believes in equality and extends membership to women. A majority of the women that make up this group are from families that migrated from Europe as guest workers. And as of the late 1990s, women make up about 30% of their armed forces. Even though the Kurdistan Workers' Party is not considered to be a terrorist organization by certain other groups of people, they are considered to be a terroristic group as a result of the type of warfare they engage in. The PKK is active in guerrilla warfare, which is an unconventional war tactic that consists of ambushes, raids, sabotages, hit and runs, explosive attacks and bombings, as well as the kidnappings of foreign tourists. The organization highly favors armed attacks that target the military, Turkish government, and the police. The PKK has also attacked groups of civilians due to the refusal of helping out the organization. In terms of the Kurdistan Workers' Party's finances, some of the funding comes from the sales of various types of publications. The majority of the group's financial support, however, comes from different types of businesses. Businesses that fund the PKK are both owned by the organization itself as well as different Kurdish-owned businesses in Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Russia, as well as Western Europe. The whole idea of the Kurdistan Workers' Party being a terrorist organization or not being a terrorist organization is extremely controversial. When looking at the side of the PKK as a terrorist group, NATO was the first to declare the PKK as a terroristic organization. They say that the PKK has been involved in different acts of terrorism, which is due to their active participation in guerrilla warfare. On the other hand, however, those groups who do not see the PKK to be a terrorist group say it is due to the belief that the PKK has the right to fight. The PKK has its own unique culture and language and therefore deserve to be their own state. Another strong argument for this side of the debate stems from the fact that the PKK is fighting against ISIS, who is a common enemy of many other countries. When looking specifically at the relationship the United States has with the Kurdistan Workers' Party, it is essentially non-existent, regardless of the fact that the U.S. and the Kurdistan Workers' Party share a common enemy, which is ISIS. The U.S. State Department deemed the PKK to be a terrorist group due to the subgroups within the Kurdistan Workers' Party. In order to prevent further violence and to stray away from the idea of the Kurdistan Workers' Party being a terrorist group, the United States could work with the PKK moving forward to develop their governmental wing and to accomplish their means and their goals in the absence of violence. Thank you so much for watching my presentation, and I hope you learned something today.